Anyway, she hid in the bathroom until the man left and told her supervisor what had happened. That's another important part of the story. She told her supervisor about it. She was fired a week later, which seems unacceptable. Here's their reasoning. Her immediate supervisor was supportive when she reported the incident. So she was shocked and confused when she was fired around a week later for not reporting the incident to the right managers and thereby creating a, quote, security risk. Now she says, I took it to mean that I was the security risk because someone had mistaken me for being trans. Again, they were the only people in the bathroom. So they're not talking about the guy. They gotta be talking about her. What's the risk here? And think about that. She told her supervisor. If other people need to know about it, how is that not the supervisor's obligation? Why is the onus entirely on the woman who was almost beaten at her workplace to make sure that everybody in America knows about it? But that's the rationale that they provided for firing her. Now, since then, they've said that they have reviewed the incident and made attempts to invite her back to her job with back pay, saying we want our associates to feel safe and supported in their workplace, and we won't tolerate bullying or threats of violence against our associates or customers. And I guess it's better now that they've reached that point. But that certainly isn't what was front of mind for them when they fired her, when they gave that reasoning for it, and seemingly waited until it became a news story before doing something about it. But Jackson, there's just so many aspects of this that are utterly maddening. What do you think?
Well, first, it sounds like this guy just kind of wanted to beat somebody up and saw an opportunity to perhaps do it. Either this is a guy or it's a large woman. And this may have been some subconscious thought in his mind, but clearly he was out looking to hurt somebody. I don't know what, but this dude's a creep. Because I mean, why would you follow somebody into a bathroom? Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why that's just not, if you're going about your day, like that's just, oh, I'm gonna go on ahead and over here. Like, no, this is something wrong with this dude. But also, for a community that makes up not even 1% of the total US adult population, as you pointed out now, cisgender women are having to deal with stuff like this for being tall, or maybe they have broader shoulders, or maybe they have this, or maybe they have that, or maybe they're a completely, who knows? It doesn't matter. This is just gonna increase the harassment that women get, period, because there's so much general sexism in this country that's being flared up too, generationally as well, because so many people in Gen Z and Gen Alpha are, 10, 11 years old looking at red pill, Andrew Tate type
Yeah.
of content that's just incredibly prevalent. So this is a result of culture, and these culture wars are leading to real people's lives being disrupted for something that you really could just ignore.
Exactly. No, 100%. And I don't know, I kind of feel like, shouldn't Fox be talking about this? This is a cis woman in a bathroom being preyed on by a man. Where are you with your defense of women? You guys are so worried about women and their safety, particularly in bathrooms. Why are you not talking about this? You have people who have been driven so insane by transphobia that they're willing to beat cis women. Again, utter hypocrisy. They're never going to talk about it or whatever. But look, the guy obviously needs to be locked up. But I'll close with this. Elon Musk has made clear that it is not enough that the foot soldiers get locked up. The people who inspired them in their acts need to be locked up. He's been very clear about this. So I think members of the media who've been inspiring regular Americans to lose their mind over transphobia, according to Elon Musk, they should be in jail. And I think that would be progress. Anyway, that's all the time we have on the show today. Jackson, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, always good to be here with you. We got to do it more often.
Got to do it more often. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody out there, thank you as always. Today, Sharon Reed, tomorrow, Sharon Reed will be here. We're gonna be talking about some of what's being done to make sure that voter suppression in Georgia continues, and a whole lot more. You're not gonna wanna miss it. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Richie today, who has earned the day off. And I know I say this about a lot of people. Oh, they're my favorite. You're my favorite. You're my favorite. You really are. Yasmin Aliya Khan. Modern context. You are my favorite because I just kind of, since the first time I was on with you, we just kind of do this little thing and vibe. And if I get too crazy, you stay focused, okay? And maybe give us more of your resume. Where did you also work for the NSA? I mean, you've done so many jobs.
Oh my goodness.
Okay?
I should. Maybe that could be my next thing. That would be fun.
Yeah, maybe learn some things, but you're probably have too much integrity for what they would ask you to do. So you might not be
I
that
don't
long.
think there's a lot of jobs where you think about it, you're like, if I didn't have these weird morals that I can't do without, I would have a lot money than I do right now. So that is a bummer.
I feel the same way. I've often said I could never be a warden or even just one of the guards because they said, please let me out. I haven't seen this or that. And oh, I missed my girlfriend. And it was just a minor offense.
It's not
you stole a few things.
Yeah.
I don't condone it, but I'd probably say, I'm gonna let you out of here for an hour.
We have to trust that we are in our chosen roles for a reason, and we just end up where we're supposed to be, hopefully.
And this is where we're supposed to be today. Doc, we won't let you down, or at least 50% of us won't. We'll see what happens with me. But Yasmin's here, so we appreciate you for joining us and hope that you will do what you always do. And that goes for you too, watching. Give us your comments, everything. We'll get to those in a little bit. But first up, we have a dance teacher. Who doesn't love a good dance teacher except for, was it Abby Lee Miller on Dance Moms? She went too far, okay. But this dance teacher may have her beat, refusing to hug a biracial girl while embracing white kids. Surely there's a misunderstanding here. A Connecticut dance teacher faces backlash, accusations of racism, after a viral video shows her avoiding a hug from a biracial girl while embracing other children on the team. Look at this.
Pull her out.
That was rude.
Nadia Boucher. Come stand behind your dancers. Let's get that photograph, everybody. Right? Do we have any more dancers that want to come up from Dance Expressions? Hurry!
Well, I mean, you know how it is. You're in the moment. You're on stage. You're perhaps not used to. I mean, she's a dance teacher. She knows how to perform in front of an audience. So we'll go with what the commentator said. Perhaps the person recording, that was rude. Here's more. The incident happened at the recent Headliners Regional Tour dance competition where Nadia Boucher, a coach representing Dance Expressions in Plainville, Connecticut, appeared on stage. Okay, so everything's going fine. Cute kids. Now, the incident happened there, and there's her glamour shot. We'll show that too. And here's the response to the video. Quote, "That was rude," we heard. Someone in the audience blurted out, but Boucher ignored it, went on to give her name to the host as if nothing had happened. Boucher showed no reaction. She gave no sign that she noticed leaving the girl out. Lana Black Star friends there, constantly filling in good amount of details. Melissa Breglia, little Shania's mother, said Boucher, her intent was clear, made her angry. And she shared footage of the moment on social media where it quickly went viral and sparked outrage, affirming her own feelings about the situation. It's like, did you see it too? Well, yeah, apparently in several posts to Facebook, the mother said Boucher's actions had crushed her daughter. Can you imagine? You just want your teacher's approval. At that age, you don't know anything else, but teacher means good. She likes me, I never looked for the teacher's approval, but I often was the teacher's pet. I don't know why. Maybe I snitched a lot. I don't remember. My 5th grade teacher even took me to Disney World with his family. Can you believe that? And my mother let me go. Story for another day. But you want the approval. A separate post, Breglia hinted that she had pulled her daughters from Boucher's dance school. Absolutely breaks my heart to watch this, Breglia wrote on Facebook alongside the footage that garnered over 1 million views. Shania came off stage. She was devastated. Why would a teacher treat a child so poorly? My daughter deserves an apology. And I will continue to share this until they feel as badly as Shania did. And the studio feels justified and released a statement to the teen parents as if it was my fault I stand with my daughter. Mother also wrote this. It is important to understand that my girls are the ones who lost their entire world. At 6 and 9, they are grieving right now. They are not okay. Their world has been shattered because of this, she wrote. They just keep crying. They lost their passion, their friends, and people they thought loved them as family. The dance family that they spent hours on end with, sacrificed other plans, put dance first, has completely left them in the dark. So a couple of things here, Yaz. Number one, I can hear people, as I was reading it, the detail. I'm flabbergasted that the mother's saying, oh, this was their whole world. But remember the ages, 6 and 9. They're 6 and 9. And then to have the tables turn. Is the mother going too far? Has she done the right thing? Should all the focus be on this teacher who seemingly deliberately held this girl at bay and didn't want any part of her?
Yeah, such a small child, like 6 and 8 years old. Like, how do you have animosity towards someone that young, anyone that young? With stories like this one, you have to wonder if the child would have understood what was happening, as in recognize it for what it presumably was, racism, and internalized it, felt it emotionally, or if the adult's reactions to what happened clued the kid in on the fact that they were supposed to feel a certain way. And I'll get back to why that's important a little later, because that's how we learn, right? We take our cues from our elders, from our parents, from older kids even. Especially something like racism, it's often so discreet and so understated that it's hard to explain to people what it is, especially if they're not the ones who have ever experienced it firsthand. And that's why people who are on the receiving end of things like racism often don't say anything about it at all, because they know that suddenly they're going to be under the burden of proof, and they're not going to be able to prove objectively that they experienced racism. So then they're just the ones crying wolf, and it was better if they just hadn't said anything in the first place. It's also the reason why people who are racist often get away with being racist, because they can plausibly deny that what they did or said was not racially motivated. And no one wants to be the person wrongfully accusing someone else of being a racist. But for kids, they can feel that they're being treated differently, even if they don't have the words to articulate what it is that they're feeling, or even if they don't fully understand what they're feeling or why they're being treated differently, or at least if they're perceiving it that way. And something that the right likes to say about the left is that the left is actually the side that is perpetuating things like racism, not by being racist, but by calling out racism where and when we see them. And their argument is that people on the left, if we would just stop teaching our kids about racism, stop yelling about this racism thing all the time, that it'll just go away within a few generations. We're the ones who keep bringing it up. Of course, we know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because there are things, institutional racism, systemic racism, et cetera, that we need to find a way to get over as a nation. But additionally, since when do things ever just go away whenever the people who are actually perpetuating these things receive no backlash or correction for their actions? It's like, I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine that anyone, right, left, or wherever they sit on the political spectrum, would parent a child out of bad behavior just by not pointing out the bad behavior ever. Either way, I hope this child and the family deals with the immediate loss of innocence that these children are witnessing right now as best they can. This really does seem to be a unique experience to children of color, that they have to have that veil lifted at some point in their lives. However it happens, most often it happens because of bad adult behavior, and it's very sad. And it's not going to continue. It's not ever just going to go away if we just stop talking about it. That's not how things work.
And you tapped into something there that touches me as a Black mother, okay? There's this point, you're watching this beautiful, innocent little baby, okay? Who won't go to bed on time and just keeps she wouldn't let me put her down. But anyway, and I looked at her one day and I said, wow, so innocent, so lovely, she was untouched by the world. And as a Black mother, I knew, you'll give your life for your child. I knew I was not going to be able to shield her from a greater America, both the greatness and some horrifically traumatic, not so great things. So I just think you touched on it. That and the part where they get away with it. Mm-hmm. They get away with it because it's easy for less racist, less privileged people who wouldn't behave in this manner, it's easier for them to ignore it. It's uncomfortable. And so they don't even want to go there. They don't want to go there. It's easier to believe, well, you were pulled over. What were you doing? It's not driving while black. Come on. It's easy to discredit your experience, your personal experience. I'll give you the last one.
Yeah, and to that point, nobody, like I said, nobody wants to be a racist, right? I think people generally acknowledge that being a racist is a bad thing, even though people are racist. And those racist people know that it's not a good thing. Same thing like homophobic people. If anybody who has some kind of prejudice against a specific group, they know, like, maybe let me keep that under wraps because I'm not going to be very popular if this comes about. But people still can't help themselves. Not only that, but they don't always know how to hide the things that they're actually feeling. And so they come out in very subconscious ways, kind of like what we just saw in that video. So some people can see it and recognize it for what it is. But I wouldn't even be surprised if, this dance teacher who is denying that there was any kind of racial motivation in what she did or didn't do, she probably believes that, right? She probably on some level believes that she's not a racist. And on the left, we have these very high expectations of people that they need to do the work and they need to understand the things that they're saying and where those things are coming from. They need to understand the impact that their actions have, not just on other people, but on small people, on children. And I say those are high expectations because so many people, that is too high a bar for them to meet, right? That's too much work for them to want to do. And you said it, it's very uncomfortable. And they don't want to be uncomfortable, especially if they don't have to be, right? No one's making them be better people. No one's making them do all this extra work. They could just go about their lives as if they were the entire time, living their lives. It doesn't matter if they're hurting people because their intentions, as far as they're concerned, are still pure. But again, just because of all that, it doesn't mean that these issues ever go away. And it doesn't mean that small children don't have to bear that burden of the racism that is being enacted upon them.
Why don't you just let it go? You're right about that too. If I walk past a mirror and don't look in it, does that mean I'm skinny? No. Mm-hmm. Okay, I still need to lose a few pounds. Okay, it doesn't mean it's gonna go away. You have to confront these issues. I agree with you. Well, in this instance, 99.9% of what you said, there was just this one thing you said, and nobody wants to be racist. David Duke, I give you David Duke. I think he wants to be racist. I can think of some other ones, but that just, as you said it, yes, that jumped out at me. And I thought, well, isn't she kind? But then there's David Duke, okay? Can we agree? He might like
people who take pride in their bigotry. Yeah, there are those. We should acknowledge them.
Yeah. So there's that. So then there's this next one. We have a bit of a theme going already in the show. White business owner allegedly caught unleashing a racial tirade. White business owner allegedly unleashes racial tirade, death threats after firing Black employee in the wake of unpaid wages that ignites calls for investigation into death of woman. Here are the details for you folks. Buckle up. Popular vacation spot of Huckatown, Oklahoma. Tracy Holt operates Tidy Up Cleaning services, the many rental cabins dotting the area. Her former employee, Shataya Titus, claimed she had not been compensated for a few cabins that she cleaned in 2023. After confronting her then boss about it, she was abruptly fired just before Christmas. Titus wrote in a social media post that's circulating online. And a Black Star with the details here too. Though the two allegedly had not interacted for over a year, Holt recently filed a restraining order against Titus, began denigrating her former employee in a series of posts that would chill anyone to the core. Screenshots of Holt's Facebook account captured deleted posts that are littered with the N-word and reference the death of another local Black woman, warning that Titus would be next. And a Black Star tried to reach out to Tidy Up Cleaning, but the phone had been disconnected. The website has gone dark since the story broke. The post attributed to Holt started off with a threat to her former employee. I got you now, you effing N-word, before launching into a twisted brag about how easy it was to get a restraining order against Titus and another woman named Brandy. All you N-words are effing dumb. All I had to do was play like I was hurt. and like you were out to get me. And just like that, I got a protective order, read one message. I would like for that to be put in a textbook and given to every American who denies white privilege. Everybody who thinks it's not happening. You can give Clarence Thomas a copy too, deliver one to the Supreme Court. She just spelled out for you the Karenicity, the ease with which one can target a person of color and be believed and weaponize the law against them because she's white and therefore right. That has to be memorialized. Couldn't that go up on Stone Mountain here in Georgia too? I don't know what the cost would be, but if we could etch these words in stone, that would be great. In fact, you can see the screenshots right here. Dumb too. This is just so dumb. But we have to go where the story takes us. If you see in Walmart or anywhere else, I'll call the police if I see you and have your black ass arrested. Haha, the joke's on you. You know, F and N, B, read another post which quickly escalated into a death threat. Catch you back in Hockatown. We will kill you and you won't make it home to those little N-word babies. America, look at your life. Better look at your life. I don't care if this would, we know it's not. If this is one time this happened, I would say the same thing. America, look at your life. This disgustingness has dropped on your soil. And if you don't look at it, study it, eradicate it, it's going to spread. This is a pandemic too. The bile diatribe continued, startling allusion to a possible murder. Holt went on, you'll end up in the lake like that last N-word B, stay out of Hockatown. Locals on the Hockatown What's Happening Facebook group speculate Holt was referring to Alyssa Walker Donaldson, 24-year-old black woman whose lifeless body and vehicle were found submerged in Broken Bow Lake, February 2022. The owner's alleged Facebook rant filled with violent threats ignited outrage, calls for an investigation too. 2 days ago, Titus posted a Facebook live video while being pulled over in her car by a policeman, and her supporters were suddenly worried for her well-being all over again. This doesn't sound right. Please respond to anyone because we are looking for you, commented one woman rather. Girl, you got sisters all the way from New York City ready for whatever, said another. She quickly put people's fears to rest the next day, March 31st, writing, I'm okay, I'm not missing, I'm just trying to take all of this in. I appreciate everyone for checking on me more than you know. You know what's sad here, Yaz, besides all of the disgusting details that I find graphic, gripping, traumatic, but unsurprising. That's the surprise that's not the surprise for people. Some of us, not surprised by any of this.
Yeah.
And just not surprised. What say you, I guess your initial reaction and then go deeper.
Yeah, my initial reaction when I was reading the headline preparing for the show, it was like I couldn't have predicted at any point how that headline was going to end. And it ended up with someone having been killed. And, you know, we have a situation where a Black woman was unpaid by her employer. And when she asked for her money, she was fired and then she turned up dead, right? The social media posts were truly just chilling. I think that was a word that you used, but it really makes me wonder why people haven't learned to be more social media savvy or just socially savvy. It has to be a situation where these people just really live in such small, curated bubbles that no one who still associates with them would call them out for being outwardly and publicly racist. You know, to have that freedom to behave that way in public, to speak that way publicly without any fear of any kind of ramifications, not just audacity, not just Karenicity, but just like as a human being, to behave that way so publicly in a way that there are receipts, right? You can pull it up, you can screenshot it, you do all these things. The fact that none of that stopped her from saying what she said and posting the things that she posted is really bizarre. But, in the last story, we were talking about these more subtle incidents of racism. Here, it is blatant. But what's sad is that there's still going to be people who are going to defend the actions of this woman. I mean, I haven't seen them yet, but, I'm always surprised whenever you think that there's a story that is indefensible. There's always someone who's going to defend the indefensible, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, to the point that I was making in the last story, are we supposed to pretend that if we just ignore incidents like this one and people like this woman, that people like her will just go away and incidents like this one will just stop happening? It's not going to stop happening. It's getting worse. And I don't know if you want to blame that on the Republican Party and their very lax stance on racial justice, or if you want to blame it on Donald Trump and his rhetoric and the kind of rhetoric that he has made okay here in this country. Whatever the cause is, people are feeling more emboldened, not less emboldened than before, to be outwardly racist, and they're, not really expecting to suffer a whole lot of backlash for it. Here, not only is this woman threatening violence against someone, which is troubling and very scary on its own, but she's being racist on top of it. And, again, she's not being subtle about it. She's being just very direct with how she feels about Black people. And as far as we know, this Black woman hasn't done anything wrong or hadn't done anything wrong. All she did was, try to get paid for work that she already did. So we'll be very interested to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, maybe she was owed the wages, maybe she wasn't. I'm more inclined to believe she was owed the wages given who we're dealing with here. Yeah. But I like your analysis too, because I was wrong. I said her postings made her stupid. She's not stupid for the postings. You're right. She's privileged. She knows who gonna check me, boo. This is how we roll. There's no consequence. This is what I'm doing. And oh, well, that's how comfortable she is. That's not why she is stupid, but that's not why she's stupid. That is part of taught birthright privilege in this country. That's really what it's about. It's sick and twisted. And remind me never to go to this Hawka town until we can figure out what, I don't know if that's the way you say or not, but I need you to, if I ever call you up, Yaz, and say, I'm thinking about going to Oklahoma. I heard there's these beautiful cabins in Hawka town.
Yeah.
I need you to say abort, pump the brakes, don't go there.
Yeah,
okay? Because
Oklahoma
I'm all over the place.
Neighbor to the north. I've only been there once. Okay. I heard the big cities are nice. I heard Tulsa and Oklahoma City, I think, are nice.
Besides that massacre 100 years ago, I'm sure
they don't talk about it, so it's fine. Yeah. If you just don't talk about it, it's fine. So, but other than that, they're dealing with a lot right now, not just with all of this, what's happening, but also their education system seems to be suffering quite a bit as well. So. Thoughts and prayers to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and that reminds me, as we were, it's a lack of a better word, commemorating the 100-year-old massacre of Black Tulsa, this thriving, incredible community where there was mass murder by racists. In modern times, during this 100-year anniversary, as they said, we're gonna ramp up the murder investigation. And the insurance policies the Black people had paid for, the companies that still exist today in some form or another didn't pay out. I remember the Tulsa mayor, his name is on the tip of my tongue, saying, well, we can't give reparations because that would divide Tulsa. And at the time I said, no, what divided Tulsa was white racists who murdered a lot of people and never had to pay for it. Mm-hmm. You cannot just pretend it didn't happen. But that's what America's doing. And that's why we have this woman in Hawkatown posting filth and racist garbage. We should move on. Boy, this is quite a theme show. Here we are again. Again, we don't make up the news, folks. We just bring it to you hot off the presses. And here it is, another one. A Black woman has the name King Kong written on her medical vial. Here is the incident of this one.
Can you tell me what's wrong with this sample?
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Can you understand as a Black woman why I would have a problem with that?
Yeah, I can double check who.
How could that be a mistake? Because this King, that's my last name, right? Comma would be my first name, correct?
Yeah.
How do you misspell Kiera as Kong? That's insane.
Yeah, I can double check who did that. I'm honestly not sure who printed that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Previously, we've never had like any sort of issue like that. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire right now. Like that's unacceptable. And even if it is a typo, which like if they want to pull that and say that that's what it was, how? Seriously?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure how that happened.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So are you able to like go in and see like who did it, what? Because was that in my chart? How does that happen?
Well, Miss Clair, it happens because someone's a vile racist. Now, I'm going to give you the rest of it, but I have to pause for a moment yet again. I'm sorry. It was there's a tone of privilege. No, I didn't see who the medical personnel who came in there was, but I heard a tone of privilege. I heard, and surely shock, embarrassment, whatever. I heard things like, oh, well, I could check. What are you checking? And then I heard her say, we've never had anything. Lie. Okay, that's not what you better say to me when you have written my name on a vial as King Kong. And then I heard something about I could check again. This is asinine. The correct response would be, let me find out who the blatant racist here is, and I'll get right back to you, ma'am. My apologies. That's it. That's it. Or you can say nothing and moonwalk out of the room and say, wasn't me, with your hands up. Here are the details. Kiera King. King is her last name. It's not Kong. Southern California woman hopes lessons will be learned after her disturbing experience at a medical office. King visited Perlman Clinic in San Diego, seeking the standard professional health care expected from any doctor's office or urgent care clinic when getting a test. King was shocked to see what was on the label of a vial that presumably was part of a test kit she got at the clinic. Her name had been changed from Kiera King to King Kong. Folks, how much trauma do you think a Black woman should endure? She began recording the interaction, smart, with the unseen medical assistant, posted the video to TikTok, which quickly went viral. If the alleged racist action wasn't enough, the confusing response from the staff member added insult to injury. I love the production team here at Indisputable, because how come I don't have to explain anything to them? And we got the Rainbow Coalition around here, okay? How come they get it? Okay? How come they heard it? Yet somebody else can't. Can you understand why I, as a Black woman, would have a problem with that? She politely asked the unidentified employee, who assured Kiera that she would double check who wrote King Kong instead of her actual name. That's unacceptable, even if it is a typo, which if they want to pull that and say what it is, seriously? When the assistant returned, her response about the racial epithet created more confusion. She admitted to changing the name, but claimed King Kong was not written with any cruel or unkind intent. She claimed it was simply a mistake. It was not my intention to put that on there. She can be heard saying off camera, it's not my intention to put that on there. But I saw a Black woman and I decided that you look like King Kong, and so I wrote it. Now I added that last part, but that's the only thing it could be, okay? And even if it's just a genuine mistake, maybe she watched one of the King Kong movies the night before, we still get to not believe you because you have a real problem. Why did this Black patient trigger King Kong? Why? I think I know why. Employee then changed tactics and blamed Kiera for not catching the mistake and speaking up when they supposedly checked her name on the bottle together. This is like the code of Karenicity. This checks all the boxes, doesn't it? If we were writing a book about how to be a Karen, well, this is it. Okay, this is another manual that perhaps should be mass produced. Not that you have to teach some people how to be a Karen. There's plenty of them here, okay? Plenty of them here. So she blames Miss King, not Kong, King. Says, you should have spoke up. Something Karen claimed never happened. What I have a problem with now is that you're straight up fabricating that we checked the name of the bottle when we did not. Probably was protocol, and this medical person didn't do it. The staff member then floated yet another explanation for the so-called error. This is why I said option 2 would have been to shut your mouth. Say nothing, hands up, moonwalk out of there, okay? But she kept talking, telling her patient that she typed fast and the name must have auto-corrected from Kiara to Kong. The outlandish autocorrect excuse did not sway Kiara, however. And she warned the employee that she planned to report the clinic. I mean, who is giving her these excuses? Mike Walls? Is it Mike Walls? Like he said about Jonathan Goldberg, the reporter in Signalgate? I don't know how his name got, it must auto-populated. He must have somehow got into my phone and put himself there. Just say nothing, come on. After the video blew up online, Perlman Clinic quickly issued an apology on social media saying they sincerely regret the harm caused and are actively addressing it to ensure accountability and meaningful change. But this post has since been taken down and replaced with a more generic statement on March 31 that read, diversity is at the heart of who we are. So they got lawyered. The lawyer said, you might not want to put that there, admitting it. Because, America, especially now, is a country where we don't really admit fault. We just pretend it didn't happen and say, make it great again or make it a better place. Or both teams played hard. They didn't. There's a winner and a loser. And in this case, you lose, Perlman Clinic. Black women are more likely than any other group to report unfair treatment by a healthcare provider due to race and ethnicity, regardless of income level. Fact. That's according to a study by KFF, a nonprofit that researches health policy. At least 1 in 6 Black women have reported disrespectful treatment in a medical setting. So it's no surprise the video struck a nerve. Guys, it struck a nerve with me too, if you can't tell. I've been subjected to not this, but where you are treated like a fool. Mm-hmm. And that you don't know your pain level or what's going on. My mother died of advanced kidney failure not long ago, and I'm still mourning her. And I wake up some days and I'm very angry. My mother was an educator for more than 30 years. Nobody told her about a kidney transplant. I found out too late, or I would have made sure it happened. Nobody offered her that. Because when you walk into a dialysis clinic, more often than not, everybody looks like me. And there's a reason for that. So this to me is not just about this ignoramus who wrote King Kong and these foolish, not even credible or even, she didn't even try to make up something good and juicy. Autocorrect? It's about more than that. It's about life and death. I'm so glad this woman recorded it because we see they weren't going to own up to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally dehumanizing, right? They're referring to this woman as King Kong. And as you mentioned, it's not an uncommon thing for so many people of various backgrounds to experience when dealing with healthcare. The dehumanization of humans from healthcare workers is abhorrent, right? It's almost unimaginable. Why did you get into this line of work if you didn't know how to treat people as human beings, right? And for you, the story with your mother, unfortunately, it's treated just like a statistic in this country. But for you, for the families that are impacted, that is something that you wake up and you deal with every single day, right? That is never a thing that you're never going to not be angry about what happened to your mother. And you're never going to stop wondering what could have happened if someone had just treated her with a little bit more respect and dignity. But yeah, in this story, we really do have a theme going today. The gaslighting is infuriating, and just like the dismissal of this woman and what she understood, what she knows to be the truth of what happened here, and then them just saying, it was a typo. There's the incident that happened in the first place where the nurse wrote King Kong on the vial of one of her patients, but then the nurse saying first, I didn't mean to do this. This was a typo. In what world, right? Who just accidentally writes that? And then saying that it was also the victim's fault for not catching the error or the typo in the first place by making up a story where the nurse claims to have asked the patient to verify her name was written correctly on the vial. The patient says that never happened. And the patient, according to the story, that the nurse is telling. She says that the patient is the one who said, "Yep, that's my name. It's King Kong," and then later changed her mind and was mad about it. That's not even a thing that happens in most doctors' offices, right? Why should the patient have to verify something as inane as the name on the vial unless the nurses and doctors are just understood to be wildly incompetent that they need the patient to verify every step of the way, everything that they're doing? That's not how it works. But going back to the theme of the day, is there plausible deniability here in this case that this was a racist action that happened? The answer is no, not really. It's something I think about a lot as far as, the social evolution of the English language. This nurse can say, I wasn't being racist. I just made a typo, and her last name is King, so you can see how that happened. It was all innocent, nothing racist about it, right? She can say that. She did say that. But common sense will tell anyone that that is an insane and improbable mistake for anyone to have made. And socially, we can all recognize that this was blatantly racist. Anyone who knows anything, and I'm assuming I can include healthcare workers in this statement, knows that socially, racist people like to equate Black people. I don't even need to say it, right? Everybody knows what I'm about to say. Everyone knows what it means to refer to a Black person as King Kong, but it's such an understood thing that some people, like this nurse, can just claim to not understand something that is so prevalent in our society because, she wasn't exposed to certain things. I didn't know, it was innocent, even as she wrote King Kong on the name of her patient's vials. And even if it wasn't racist, that's just bad medicine. Like, why are you a practicing nurse and you're doing things like this with your patients? It's so wrong on so many levels. It is infuriating. It speaks to so many bigger issues, like you pointed out, Sharon. And it's the fact that it's happening in healthcare of all industries is very, very scary. And people will and have died because of things like this.
It's not what you just said is fact. It's not hyperbole. It's not, stop laying it on so thick. What you just said is accurate. It's informed, okay? This is disgusting. And I think it's disgusting, even though they've obviously, in my view, been lawyered here. And you know why the lawyer advised them? Listen, if you really cared about your business and you had the lawyers and the marketing people together, they'd tell you, put out the fiercest statement ever and get rid of this lady. First of all, I think she did it on purpose and thought it was funny with her other colleagues. I think that's what happened. That's my personal opinion because I've seen it happen before. And then you got caught and you acted really dumb about it. But if you're the business, why are you seeming to gloss over this employee? I would have said, I'm stunned and I don't care if it's an accident or real. There's no getting around this. She gone. And I would call Miss King, not Kong, and explain to her what I was taking seriously. I wouldn't say diversity and unicorns or whatever they put out. It's not what I would do. But then I wouldn't change a woman's name from Kiera King to King Kong either. I just wouldn't do that, okay? This is Indisputable, Yasmin Aliya Khan, Modern Context. I think the name's lovely. You just have excellent taste. And well, you do. It's like everything is just, okay? But we enjoy your work. We enjoy your commentary. We enjoy your level-headedness. I told you that she would keep me straight. Wow.
That's why we're a good team. There's a lot of balance happening here.
Balance is everything. Yes, you're right. We're in for Dr. Richie today. Much more to come.
They failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're damn wrong, because you should be angry. Young Turks.
It was genuine. He was mad.
Cenk Uygur, known online as one of the Young Turks, isn't afraid to throw some punches.
3, 2, 1, fade up.
Cenk the Turk Uygur.
What kind of TV station is this? The whole point is for me to yell and scream and tell you what I think.
It was right out of like Wayne's World.
This guy on this little rinky-dink website is speaking truth to power.
We've been averaging 600,000 views a day, beating most of the cable shows in America.
We're the largest online news show in the world.
We're celebrating our 1 billionth view. Television, we're coming.
More politics ahead with Cenk Uygur.
He knew that the MSNBC opportunity was an experiment.
And Phil and host beat CNN and headline news combined. At some point, they want to give me a show.
Every single year that comes out of our paycheck. We put it in, and you're saying we were suckers.
When you, as a host, tells someone you're interviewing to shut up, that's going to raise a red flag.
That guy needed a tall glass of shut up juice.
If President Obama's doing the wrong thing, I'm not going to tell you that he's doing the right thing so I can, quote, support him.
He says to me, you won't believe the meeting that I just had.
The head of MSNBC talked to me.
They want him off the air.
Cenk took an incredible risk.
We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media. The Democrats and the Republicans are here to screw you. And who on the air is saying it?
I wouldn't have done what he did.
That if I'm going to be a talk show host, I should be the biggest talk show host in the country. I don't think anyone else does it better. I don't think anyone's even close.
Before you know it, I'll be back on your TV doing a national show. I guarantee it.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, JR, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I did. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick it up. Couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. Look at that, dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. You know, say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Sharon Reed alongside Yasmin Aliya Khan, the one and only. What are you working on, Yas?
Right now, well, for Rebel HQ today, I did a story about Elon Musk and what these tariffs are going to do for Tesla, what it's going to mean for Tesla. But I was sick all of last week, so I did 0 things last week. I did no shows, no Rebel HQ content, nothing. Yeah. So I'm finally back in the swing of things. My voice is still a little hoarse, but
yeah,
a lot
no
better
worse for the wear.
Okay,
yeah. You needed a break. You got it.
I think my body was like, just sit for a minute. So
yes, dissecting all of the Karenicity in the world, it is a tough job, and you can break down from it.
It does wear on you a little bit.
So recharge, and we're just happy you're back. Some of your comments now, and there's some doozies in here. Okay, there's some people who like seeing us together. LL Taco 17, right? Sharon and Yaz Day. LFGGG. Squirrel Iconi, double dose of awesome with Yaz and Sharon. We thank you. Neil Whittington, New Clue Dragon, we thank you always for your contributions. Senator Booker is still and has been on the Senate floor since 7 last night, alerting us what the little T rump regime's tax breaks will bring. About that dance teacher, mama needs to request a full refund for all her classes. B. Brown says. Jacqueline Chastang says she knew exactly what she was doing. This is awful. Now, late bloomer 66 says children that young have no concept of favoritism because of race or any other 9 points of bias. It's personal to them. They feel a part of a group and then are rejected. It's personal to them. They think there's something wrong with themselves. This is a horrible story. It's breaking my heart. Broke my heart too. Broke my heart too. I'm listening at work and Sharon made me bust up. What did I say this time? I don't know what I said. Tech nauseated, and that was from Lindsay Ann Miles. Well, I'm glad you got a laugh. I hope people at work weren't looking at you, Linz. But if they were, they were. Go proudly, okay? Or go on break. You deserve a break. And I say go take a break or take the afternoon off. Tell them come find me if they're worried about it. Tech nauseated says, I've met David Duke a few times. He lives in my area. Not a nice guy. Not that I'd expect him to be. We get it. We get it. We're on the same page. Okay, now, Dragon Mage Queen says, weaponized white tears piss me off and I am a white woman. Touche. And David Moore says, this woman does racism like Simone Biles does gymnastics. This is about the racist business owner in Hockertown, Oklahoma. Yeah. Simone Biles is perhaps the greatest gymnast of all time. This, David believes that this woman is on par with that. She may be the greatest, one of the greatest racists of all time, okay? When that is in, we'll perhaps vote on it. But it's just horrible. I want to get to this one more, and then we'll move on. We'll get to the rest of your comments later. Leave 18 White Girl says, when she sues and wins, this is about the vial, Kiara King, and the assistant put on there King Kong on the medical vial. When she sues and wins, she should hold a press conference in front of the clinic and shout, quote, King Kong ain't got S on me. Remember Denzel? That was Denzel in that movie, right? Did he get an Oscar for that one? What was that, Training Day or another one? We'll find out, our team will find out. But this is, I agree with you, okay? You want King Kong, you got it. You got it, Denzel style, baby. That's after I cash a check. All right, we're gonna move on. And this segment has more meaning today than perhaps other days, because it supports that we're doing it. It supports that we have to do it. It supports that this segment, it could really be expanded, a year-end theme of Karens, a countdown, okay? Will Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen do that countdown? They might do it, they might enjoy it. But they deserve to be held up to public rebuke. They do. And it's why Doc came up with this one. And he means it when he says, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Yeah, I'm off the phone. What you were saying now?
I said to you, do you hate me?
Hate you for what?
Because I said something ignorant. Do you forgive me?
About the guy being black?
Do you forgive me?
Yeah, I forgive you.
Okay.
But you're a little racist.
I don't mean to be.
Yeah.
It's just I grew up in the South and my mom was racist and my mom raised me. She was a single mom.
Okay.
And so some of it rubbed off.
Yeah.
But my dad didn't know a stranger,
Yeah.
My dad didn't have a prejudiced bone in his body. But he didn't raise me.
But you need to know how to turn that on and off, because if I was ratchet,
that's what I need to do.
You do, because if I was ratchet and hood, we probably would have been fighting.
Oh my gosh!
I'm serious.
It wasn't anything like it's still personal. It was just like physical.
I know, but we up here in Pennsylvania now, where there's a lot of black people. We're Philly, really. We not down south. People will want to fight you.
Really?
Yeah.
So I gotta be careful.
Oh, absolutely.
Keep my mouth shut.
I just left Philly, flew in last night from my beloved hometown. And yes, it depends. In West Philly, probably would have got your beat. And we don't condone violence. This is so rich. This is a form of white tears, although I didn't hear any, and here's why. She turned herself into the victim. Nobody asked about your single mother. Nobody asked about your father or your family reunions. I don't even know why you're talking about that. You have a job, so you're of age. And it takes your victim, because that's what you turn us into. I ain't nobody's victim. But you perpetrated something upon this woman that was racist, and she showed restraint. Then you came to her and made your god-awful bigotry problem you dropped it in her lap a second time, okay? It's like when someone would say, oh, Sharon, will Black people think this is wrong? What the hell are you asking me for? Okay? Sometimes I just would kind of intimate the wrong advice, so you go out there and see what happens, what Black people are going to think, okay? That's what needs to happen. This is so pathetic. The poster says, I'm working with a Karen tonight. This Black nurse then has to give her some advice, Yaz. You should know when to turn it on and off. And then what does this Karen do? She says, well, I mean, it wasn't even that bad. You came hat in hand and said, do you hate me? You explain that your mother is a racist. Your father doesn't have a racist bone in his body. I don't know what you're talking about, okay? And then when the woman says, this is hot off the press, it's nonsense. She says, I mean, it wasn't, really? Make it make sense. How do I keep them away from me, my desk, my area, if I'm not in the mood? I want a Karen-free zone. Ooh, that could be a product. If you could just erect a Karen-free zone. Maybe if it could be that one, I think it hurts the dogs when what's that, invisible fence? When they go to it doesn't zap them. It just gives them a sound, right? It signals them, stay inside the fence. If I could erect that and keep Karens away from me, it's not going to hurt them, but it would signal something. I'd like to do that.
That's such a good point, though, what you're getting at. It's just like the essence of Karenicity, especially in stories like this one. It's not, necessarily that this woman was racist, right? She was admittedly racist. She said it herself. She was raised by a racist, and so now she's a little racist, right? But it's the fact that she, first of all, was racist and then felt so entitled to this nurse's time and energy and said, look, I'm dealing with something, so now you also have to help me deal with what I'm dealing with, The entitlement is great. So first of all, I guess I want to give credit to this woman for acknowledging that she is a little racist, and she does understand that she is ignorant. She said that herself. She said, I said something ignorant, and she does understand that it's not okay to be that way because people will be mad at you if you are racist and ignorant, which is kind of like what we were talking about in one of our earlier stories where I said, most people understand that if you are racist or otherwise bigoted, that some people won't like you for these views that you hold. But she makes these excuses for herself. Her mother was racist. She grew up in the South, whatever. She's not just explaining why she is the way she is to this nurse, who, by the way, did not ask. She's excusing herself of culpability because she's surprised when the nurse tells her that people will rightfully take offense to her racism. Like, why is she surprised by that? Why does she think that she should be able to get away with something like being outwardly racist and vocally racist, right? She says she doesn't mean to be racist. Well, try harder. Try harder. Yeah. To just not say racist things. People don't always have the time or the energy or the care to take the intention behind your words and actions into consideration when they are just trying to live their lives. And in this case, this nurse is just trying to do her job. But then she tells the nurse that her racism was nothing personal, just physical. Like, what does that mean? Since when are our bodies and people's reaction to our bodies not personal, first of all? And then isn't that kind of like the crux of racism, that people treat you differently just because of your physicality, just because you're a different color than they are, just because you have different physical features? Like, since when were Black people specifically not persecuted in this country because of nothing more than their physicality? It's such an insane, and to use the woman's word, ignorant way to excuse one's own racism.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. I think her Black coworker, explainer-in-chief, handled it pretty well. I have had this happen to me on a number of occasions in the newsroom. And I rather master the art of making an uncomfortable situation far more uncomfortable. And you do that, yes, by not, we have this urge to fill dead spots and just, and And I can remember on numerous occasions where someone would come over to my desk and they just want my forgiveness or my permission to move on.
Interesting.
And I would listen and I would give a very long pregnant pause. It has to be very long, you understand? Then I might say, please go sit down.
Yeah, you don't owe these people anything.
No.
Like it's just a way to make them feel better about something that they know that they did wrong, something that they're going to do again.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And if you give them that forgiveness or if you tell them it's fine, they won't feel bad about it. It's just about them and their own feelings. You know, they don't want to feel guilty anymore.
Sharon's so mean. Well, maybe. But my thought was, if you were a child, well, I've got time for you. I'll explain to you. I'll help. But an adult who gets to use the break room and get snacks out of the machine the same as I do, I don't have time for this. And even if I had all day, I'm not interested.
Please and they're not entitled to your time or your energy.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we'll move on, shall we? You can go ahead and comment and let me know if you think that that's too mean. I did it a bunch of times, okay? And I'd have this adrenaline. I wouldn't show it in my face, but I enjoyed it. I did enjoy making people who were awkward, racist, bigoted, misogynistic even, feel uncomfortable, just like you make other people. Parents with no criminal record, get arrested and detained by ICE. The daughter of a couple deported with no criminal record says they were transported like animals. Stephanie Gonzalez says she and her family have endured heartbreak since the deportation of her parents, 55-year-old Gladys and 59-year-old Nelson Gonzalez. There they are looking at the sunset. Well, this is anything but sunny behavior. They realized they really didn't deserve to be treated as criminals. Stephanie Gonzalez, age 27, told ABC News on Wednesday, describing how she and her sisters, 23-year-old Gabriella, 33-year-old Jessica, have been devastated as their parents, who possess no criminal records, have lived in the United States for 35 years, have been transported like animals and placed in inhumane conditions. ABC News with the reporting. Stephanie Gonzalez said her parents were arrested. They were detained February 21st after a routine supervision appointment. That day, Gladys Gonzalez was initially granted a 1-year extension to stay in America, prompting her daughter to think that, quote, everything's going to be fine, like it always is. A few hours later, however, Nelson Gonzalez called to inform the family he was being detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and that Gladys's extension was revoked and she was being detained as well. They separated them, separate rooms. They were in rooms alone for hours with no food, Stephanie Gonzalez said. They had handcuffed them from their hands or from their wrists and from their ankles. She added that it is jarring for her parents to be treated like criminals, especially since they had never, ever been in trouble with the law. ICE confirmed the couple has been deported to Colombia. ICE confirmed to ABC News that Gladys and Nelson Gonzalez do not have criminal records and have been deported to Colombia. Stephanie Gonzalez said her parents were transported to detention facilities in different states without knowing where they were going and that she and her sisters had no way of tracking them, calling it a mess. A mess by design is what I'm going to call it. It's not an administrative error, it's a mess by design. It baffles my mind how they're treating people this way, she said, adding that it's so cruel that they were literally moving them around like animals. Stephanie Gonzalez also said her parents had no way of finding each other while in custody. They just happened to be on the same plane back to Colombia. If you wrote me a movie script and I was a studio head in Hollywood, I'd reject it. Say this is just not plausible. So just go back, refine it. Now we could say, which documentary is this? Is this a true story? It's happening again and again and again. We might say, can you make it even somehow? Your imagination is not as good as the administration, apparently. Nelson and Gladys Gonzalez came to America in 1989. They were seeking asylum from violence in Colombia, their daughter said. She says they then faced multiple fraudulent attorneys, including one who ended up disbarred, which ended up preventing the proper citizenship paperwork to be filed. I can see how that could happen. A lot of people who are seeking a better way of life are taken advantage of by those who are trying to fleece them or leverage fear. An ICE spokesperson said in a statement that Nelson and Gladys Gonzalez illegally entered the United States in 1989 after they appeared before an immigration judge who found no legal basis for them to remain in the U.S. ICE said the couple was granted a voluntary departure with a final removal in 2000. Stephanie Gonzalez confirmed that her parents were faced with a voluntary deportation day in 2000, but she added that they subsequently spent over 20 years filing appeals. Though her parents' cases were closed in 2021, Stephanie Gonzalez said they were instructed simply to continue showing up to their supervision appointments and check in with the appropriate authorities. During these supervision visits, Nelson and Gladys Gonzalez consistently got approved to stay in the U.S., though the time frame almost always varied, she continued. Stephanie Gonzalez and her sister started a GoFundMe page. It has raised over $75,000. There's no shortage of stories of these unjust deportations. ICE admits to an administrative error after a Maryland man sent to El Salvador prison, that hell prison by design. Maryland man with protected legal status was sent to the notorious prison in El Salvador following an administrative error. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement official admitted in a sworn declaration on Monday. Kilmer Armando Abrego Garcia, who has a U.S. citizen wife, 5-year-old child, is currently at CICOT, the notorious prison in El Salvador. Finally, as part of a new lawsuit filed by Abrego Garcia's attorneys, who are requesting that the government of El Salvador return him to the U.S. after being sent there because of an administrative error. Willful misconduct, by the way, I believe they make a lot of mistakes, but willful misconduct is not an error. It's willful misconduct. This is intentional. If you don't care who you're sweeping up, it's not an error, intentional. Abrego Garcia's attorney said he is not a member or has no affiliation with the Tren de Aragua MS-13 or any other criminal or street gang, and said that the US government has never produced an iota of evidence to support this unfounded accusation. Can we pause there too? Because if they had the documentation that would send shockwaves through the American public and Karens everywhere and suburban soccer mobs, believe me, they would bring the receipts. They'd have press conferences. You know when they print it up on those big whiteboards and the media zooms in and then the officials step before the platform, there's usually a gang of them. They introduce themselves, they spell their names so you can get it right in the paper or on the screen. And then they say, this is what they did. They plucked the fingernails apart and they did this, they murdered, they raped, they maimed, they did that. How come we're not, where's the receipts, please? Okay, pause is over. The pause is over. In response to the error, government has acknowledged the error, but said in a filing that because Abrego Garcia is no longer in U.S. custody, the court cannot order him to be returned to the U.S., nor can the court order El Salvador to return him. They think they're cute, yes. And it's so gross to me, that you're playing this game. And it also shows the enormous, not just disrespect, but disregard for the judiciary. Again, who gonna check me, boo? Can you imagine going into a court and saying, well, I got in the wrong car, I drove off and crashed it, but the car's gone now. And then you just walk out and go have lunch. Mm-hmm. But you got in the wrong car and you crashed it. I don't know, let's pretend electric car, people leave them on too often because you can't tell when it's off. I just did it, okay? You got in that car, you crashed it, and now you're acting like, oh, well. Mm-hmm. It's just so sick to me. Is it just me?
No, it's not just you. I think a lot of people feel the way that you're feeling, including myself. Look, even Joe Rogan is speaking out about how inhumane and unconstitutional and incompetent these deportations are. Like you just told us, we heard the one story, then there was the other story about someone being wrongfully deported to El Salvador with no trial because of a clerical error. Joe Rogan said that, no one thinks that dangerous gang members should be allowed to stay in this country. And sure, perhaps we can all agree on that. But the people being deported right now are often presumed gang members or criminals. And the only reason why they're presumed to be is because there have been no trials. There is no due process. It is un-American. And, with this administration, they always have to have a boogeyman, right? They can say there is widespread gang violence in this country and we have to do something about it right now, to the point that the American people say, we have to do something about it right now. Not only is all of this very embarrassing, and it's just like, it looks like no one knows what is going on, right? The people in charge are dumb, or they're evil, or both, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know how to execute a plan in a way that makes sense. I understand that with anything, there's going to be bungles along the road, and as you're trying to roll out any kind of plan, especially a plan like this one that is intended to be executed over a very wide and ill-defined area very, very quickly. But this plan was flawed from the beginning because, as I said, it is ill-defined, right? They never really said what they were actually going after. Their boogeyman was always a boogeyman for a political fodder, right? It wasn't actually backed up with any kind of data. And if it was very weak data. But to your earlier point, the only reason why this administration is getting away with this is the same reason why they get away with most of what they do, because they don't have anyone holding them accountable. They only have enablers. They only have a public bevy of supporters who think that due process is basically just bureaucracy, which they were also told to hate by people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, right? Bureaucracy, it slows down the execution of justice rather than protects justice. And they've been led to believe that these issues affecting this country regarding immigration specifically are so dangerous and so pressing and so acute that we cannot afford to waste a single minute on things like due process. Who can be bothered with humanity and slow legality when Americans are actively being terrorized, even that, we haven't really seen evidence that Americans are being quote unquote terrorized like we were being told.
Yeah, it's just so awful. We've got to rush people out of here. We'll ask questions later. That's how bad it is. Okay, and then in another case, they say the opposite. It's sicko behavior. It's consequential behavior. It's not sustainable behavior. This is not sustainable, folks. You lied, which we're accustomed to. You said only the worst, we're going to be kicked out of here. This is why it's important to remember we exist in a community. We breathe the same air. You want to smoke? You want to use hairspray? Go ahead. But it has consequences for other people too. That's all. I don't know. I'm not even telling you what to do about it. I'm just telling you that's what a community is. A global community even. We all exist and do this dance together, and it's not sustainable this way. This is Indisputable. Yasmin Aliya Khan is our special guest co-host today. I know you love that. I'm Sharon Reed. Doc is off today, and I think I've been rather behaved. I think, maybe. Can I get a thumbs up if I've been mostly Marissa? Oh, she gave me 2. But Marissa's very kind, so I don't know if it's real or not. I'm not saying she lies, but she's kind to everyone. And so maybe she's been kind to me. Much more to come. We'll get to some of your comments as well. We're right back.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
I'm wearing one of our pieces of merchandise. So the funny thing about the Dragon Squad, and that's what our viewers call themselves. That's the name of the group, but every individual chooses their own name. You might have Cincinnati Dragon. You might have Harry Potter Dragon. We have a Grandma Sunshine Dragon is one of those that I remember. These are people that like to have an element of themselves, their lives, what's significant to them reflected as a part of the community. But the concept of the Dragon Squad is just something I threw away as a joke. I was mocking the Proud Boys, these like right-wing groups that come up with a name for themselves that they think is cool, but it's actually really lame. And I thought, off the top of my head, I can come up with something that's still kind of lame, but much cooler. And so I threw out Dragon Squad, and I just moved on with my life. But everybody liked it, and so they kept it going, and so we've embraced it. And I think again, this was during the period of the pandemic. I think it was sort of nice to have a renewed sense of community, a feeling that you're a part of something when everything seems so chaotic. And as a result of that, we've got independent artists online streaming, making beautiful digital art of dragons. We've got, we've released a number of pieces of merchandise that people love sending us photos of them. And then, by the way, for me personally, people send me, like you can probably see in the background, like a knitted dragon someone sent me. There's a dragon book they sent me, dragon board games they send me. People have done like custom ironworks, making dragon bottle openers. Like the fans are super invested in diamond art and things like that. And so it's great that they send this stuff. Sometime we're gonna have to set up a wall of all of it. But yeah, it's definitely brought the community a lot closer together. The fact that we were no longer in this big studio, I felt a lot more personally attached to people. It felt very immediate. And I know that I personally needed the connection.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Dr. Richie has the day off. He's left us in charge. Doc, do you know what you're doing? Okay. When you're off, I don't know if you watch the show, but I try to follow the rundown. Okay. Now, Yasmin Aliya Khan is here today. And so things are moving along. Okay. They're moving along. But
happy to help. Yeah.
Happy to help. Maybe that's what he says. He says, team, I know she likes it. Let her fill in, but put someone responsible on with her to keep it going. Okay.
It does feel like whenever Doc's not here that like we kind of hijack the show a little bit. It feels like a very different show with Sharon.
I want a win machine. I just want, let's just do all kinds of things. Let's see what happens. To your comments now, Brian Whitman says, nobody says, I wish a Karen would. Quite like Sharon Reed. Is that a good thing or is it just a thing? Well, we don't know. And it's okay, Brian, I'll take it. Azrin Watkins, thank you always for your contribution. I've been finding it hard to stay positive with how everything is going, but I want you two intelligent, talented, amazing, beautiful women to know that you give me hope as a fellow Texan. He's in Tyler. Yes, and you're giving him hope. So this is good.
You know, I'll take it. I'll give it. We all need as much hope as we can get here. So yeah, I do feel.
So just you'll hold it together for now, Azrin. People are working on things. I don't know how long it's going to take. Don't ask us that. David Morris, is pure gaslighting to say you're dealing with crime, but then you focus only on certain demographics. Yeah, but America, David, has a history of that, of course. Of course. Let's see here. Kimmy Koo, welcome to Double Doser. We just appreciate all of you. We do. Let's get back after it, shall we? We have an update on this one. Prosecutors say they're going to seek the death penalty. This is federal prosecutors against Luigi Mangione. Is it Mangione or Mangione? Yes.
Mangione, right?
Mangione.
Very Italian, yeah.
The one with, that people were making, he's got the best eyebrows and hair.
Yeah.
He did kill a man.
Those eyebrows betrayed him in the end. Yeah.
They did. Yeah, that's what gave him away. You're right. So watch yourself. Here's the breaking update. Prosecutors directed to seek the death penalty against the United Healthcare killing suspect, Luigi Mangione. There he is. There are the eyebrows. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said Tuesday she's directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty against Luigi Mangione. The man accused of shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a New York City hotel December 4. Mangione, 26, faces separate federal and state murder charges for the killing, which rattled the business community while also galvanizing health insurance critics. Federal charges include murder through the use of a firearm, which carries the possibility of the death penalty. The state charges carry a maximum punishment of life in prison. AP filling in the gaps for us, the details. Prosecutors have said the two cases will proceed on parallel tracks, with the state charges expected to go to trial first. Wasn't immediately clear if Bondi's death penalty announcement will change the order of how the cases are tried. Luigi Mangione's murder, Brian Thompson, an innocent man and father of 2 young children, was a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America, Bondi said in a statement. After careful consideration, I've directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. Even the picture reads, pick me. I told you the other day, I think it was here. I just hate the way she's always, when she's next to him too, prancing out like, I'm with the president, I'm with the president. It's hard to take someone like that seriously. Every word's got to be about President Trump this, President Trump that. Hey, you want to seek the death penalty? I got my own opinions, but just seek it. It's supposed to be an independent agency. Pam Mangione has pleaded not guilty to a state indictment and has not entered a plea to the federal charges. I don't even know if he's been indicted federally yet, but she's, no matter, she's made her position clear. Yes, she wants the death penalty here. What say you? Because a real thing took place here. A man is dead, his family left behind. The healthcare industry shocked, others rallying saying, well, we don't support the killing. You're driving people mad and to their graves with the way you're handling those who are supposed to get some insurance here. Deny, 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 right? But at the same time, it feels like everything that comes out of this Justice Department is about theater. Mm-hmm. Why now? Why this? The state just hasn't even gone yet. Like, what? Where's the fire, Pam?
You know, it is really funny. I never thought about the White House press secretary as a pick-me, but it really is the most pick-me to occupy. Almost to the point, I know a lot of people love to watch clips of Pam Bondi and hear the crazy things that she says. I don't, though, because what she's going to say before she says it, right? She's never going to admit that Trump did something wrong. She's never going to just relay to you what the president is doing or what he wants to do. She always has to defend what he's doing and act like he's the greatest thing ever, right? So I don't know, it feels a little stale to me, but people really like to check in on Pam Bondi and see what she's up to. But Sharon, we all knew that this was coming as far as Luigi Mangione is concerned. There was no way that they were not going to seek the absolute worst punishment that they could for him. And the reason is because they need to make an example out of a guy like this, a guy who had the audacity, and say what you will about what he did, but it really was audacious to kill a healthcare CEO in broad daylight in the biggest city in the United States. This kind of behavior needs to be deterred in this country, not just because it's not good to kill people, but because it's not good to kill CEOs, right? It's not good for capitalism, for exploitative, predatory, unregulated, and unfettered capitalism. It's not good for these CEOs who are running these predatory companies to not feel safe as they're victimizing the American people. They don't like the idea that they won't be able to do exactly what they want to do to maximize all the profits that they can at the expense of the American people. They don't like the idea that the American people would actually get so frustrated to the point that they actually start fighting back in ways that are very, very tangible and very, very real. And not only did one man feel so emboldened to do this, to kill this healthcare CEO, but the rest of the country kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, what'd you expect was going to happen? What did you think was eventually going to happen? If you keep pushing people to the edge, eventually they're going to push back and they're going to say, stop it, I can't deal with this anymore. And they're going to lash out. And they don't like that. They don't want people to feel as though there are any avenues for them to fight back against the things that are happening to them. And the American people, they are doing their best for the most part to cooperate with the systems that are in place to live within them, right? People are paying their healthcare bills. They're paying into various systems only for those systems to not deliver what they're supposed to deliver in exchange for those healthcare premiums, right? They're paying all this money into a system, and then when they need it, as a matter of protocol, these insurance companies are just denying their claims. It's not okay. The American people need a way to feel as though their voices are being heard. Congress is failing us. Our governments are failing us. Any kind of legality that would protect the American people, all of it is positioned in such a way that it benefits capitalism and these big corporations and these billionaires, right?
Yeah.
Even the Democratic Party we see now is courting the billionaire class over the American people. So even more so, our voices are being diluted further.
Yeah.
So there's no way that they would let Luigi Mangione get away with what he did. But not only that, but they need to let the American people know that you can't do this. There is no avenue for you to fight back.
You can't do it, and you damn sure better not make it sexy. All of this, he became a rallying cry. He pulled together this activism. People saying, well, I found what he did to be quite shocking and eerie. But I also can recognize why he did it. No excuse for killing somebody. It's so gross, okay? But now I'm digging into what he's saying, which people do. There's a good following of people who say, this happened to me, this isn't right. These CEOs maximizing profit over our very lives. That's what he's saying. And you're not going to rally the American people. No, you better not kill CEOs, but you better not be part of this ignited movement either, because we have to beat you back. So yeah, she had to. So Elon Musk, I know how much people adore Elon Musk. They want to talk about him. Look at that. He's a charmer, a billionaire. Oh my God. Can I just tell you that and I'm not making this up, I literally just got nauseous. As I paused with my mouth open, I took it and I just got nauseous. He makes me nauseous. And I'm sorry. It's everything. And I don't mean like the way he looks. I mean everything. It's everything. I have a visceral reaction to the guy. I'm not alone. But still, he has some baby mamas. So to each his own, her own. One of them sold her car Ashley St. Clair. And this is breaking news. This is a big announcement. Ashley St. Clair sells her Tesla car. Okay. Boy, people you just have to be in the spotlight, don't you? All right. In an update, Elon Musk's alleged baby mama, Ashley St. Clair, says she's been forced to sell her Tesla after the world's richest man cut her child support in half. St. Clair, 26, spotted handing over the keys to her black Model S outside her Manhattan apartment on Saturday. You could move to Hoboken. It's still expensive, but not as much. She told a DailyMail.com reporter who witnessed her handing the $100,000 car over to a representative from the online auto sales giant Carvana. Do I need to read that again, or did you hear it too? No one happened to be strolling by as paparazzi, and they caught Ashley St. Clair selling her Tesla to Canva associate. Someone said, "Hi, this is Ashley St. Clair, and can you meet me at the corner of such and such? I have a influencer deal with Canva." I mean, I don't know if she does or not, but this is just so corny. But I'm going to give you the update, and you make of it what you will, okay? I need to make up for the 60% cut that Elon made to our son's child support when asked if she felt Musk was being vindictive toward her. St. Clair responded, "Well, that's his modus operandi. When women speak out, you can check the stocks. I'm not the only one who's cleaning up after his messes," she said of anti-Tesla protests. "The markets are catching up to what I have known for a long time." St. Clair said the last time she tried to speak to Musk was February 13th, but he did not respond. Well, he was likely preparing for Valentine's Day with one of his others. Ashley, stay for Valentine's Day. He's preparing a love story for another. Laura Loomer shared a Daily Mail clip on X, writing, "Gold digger and professional gaslighter St. Clair Ashley was caught on camera outside of her ritzy Manhattan condo, paid for by her sugar daddy Elon Musk, selling her $100,000 Tesla she said was gifted by her, Elon Musk, during their romantic relationship. She said she's selling it to make up for the $100,000 in alleged cuts to her child support payments from Elon. She took a jab at Elon, telling people to check the Tesla stock, adding, 'I'm not the only one cleaning up after Elon's messes, blah, 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 blah.' Musk replied to Loomer's post with, 'I don't know if the child is mine or not.' Where's Honey Boo Boo when you need her? I can't with these people. I can't. I don't know if the child is mine or not, but I'm not against finding out. No court order is needed. Despite not knowing for sure, I've given Ashley $2.5 million and I'm sending her $500,000 a year." Yes, I'm going to stop there. Do you want to know more about these people's business?
No, I don't. I don't. I just don't, right? Like, this girl knew what she was doing when she decided to have a baby with Elon Musk. You can't not know at this point, right? We know that his MO is to have all these children and to populate the world with all of his weird genius babies. Shouldn't call the babies weird. It's not their fault. But that's his weird goal, that he wants to, create this perfect AI-esque human being, right? Whatever.
I hate to interrupt you, but could he perhaps teach the one not to pick their nose in the Oval Office?
He cannot. That one's not the perfect one. The perfect one would know not to do that. So he just has to keep trying until he gets one that doesn't do these very basic human child behaviors, But look, it's just not sexy anymore to drive a Tesla. Perhaps it once was, but no longer, For some people, sure, there's still going to be people who will unapologetically drive their Teslas just to stick it to the libs, even though the libs are typically the ones who are more ecologically conscious, and they were originally the ones supporting the electric vehicle industry. So it's kind of ironic how that's flipped. But that aside, the company, the Tesla company and its CEO have proven not to be a company or a CEO that most people want to be associated with anymore. And a big part of that is Elon Musk's fault, right? He was super popular for a while, and so he tied his brand directly to himself. But now that people don't like him anymore, that is not working out in his favor anymore. And the sad reality is that as much as you don't like Elon Musk, a lot of people earn their living and depend on the income that they make working at a big company like Tesla. And it is a big company. So the workers, if anyone, is they're the ones who are going to, not, I shouldn't say if anyone, but the workers are going to suffer from this. If Tesla was smart, they would distance themselves as much as they can from Elon Musk. Maybe that's going to happen coming soon, because right now it is not benefiting Tesla to be associated as closely as they are to Elon Musk. Every time he does or says something crazy on the internet, his stock price falls, right? That it's not good for investors. And ultimately, that's what's going to, I think, separate him from this company that he did not found, but he built, right? And I think that's also people don't talk about that enough. He did not found this company. He did not invent this car. He just branded it and bought it over and branded it. So, it is bad optics. This is not helping. A lot of Tesla drivers are also, putting facades on their cars and putting like Audi insignias on it, replacing the Tesla logo, as if that's going to fool as many people because they're afraid of vandalism or just looking bad or being associated with this guy. So that's pretty embarrassing. As far as his personal life goes, there are so many other things that this man is doing that is going to impact, that is already impacting thousands of Americans, let's say, right now across the country, if not millions. So like there are other things to worry about.
Yeah. He look, I want to say two things. There's only one Elon Musk. The second thing is, thank God there's only one Elon Musk. And Miss Ashley, I don't know what she's getting every month, but I did need her to go underground. I wish they both would, quite frankly. I honestly wish that they would both just go sit down somewhere. Mm-hmm. And don't lay down, just sit down somewhere, both of you, okay? And you do what you want. I don't know, I'm gonna live and let live, but it's too much. Yas, always appreciate you. Love being on with you. Can't wait till we're together again, because you keep me in check and you make a lot of sense. And we appreciate you.
I do my best. So it's nice to be appreciated, Sharon. And likewise, it's always a pleasure to co-host with you when you're on.
And don't forget, if I ring you and say, hey, think about going to Hawketown, Oklahoma, is that a good choice? I
got you. I will say no.
Thank you, because I can't.
Don't do it.
Please. This is Indisputable. Dr. Richie will return. Of course, I'm Sharon Reed, Yasmin Aliya Khan, filling the chair for Doc, doing our best today. We hope you'll join us again.